eve of training camp?
Oh, we're excited. The players are all checking in. I know you saw quite a few of them filing in, and this is an exciting day probably in every football program in the country, but one that I've certainly been waiting for a long time.
Kyle, I know you see these guys when they pass through and everything, but when do you start checking out, their weights, if they're making their weights and everything like that?
It's all part of the check-in process, and I'll review that tonight with the strength coaches and the rest of the staff, see where everybody is. But nowadays, they only get a couple days off from the summer program till now, so I would expect that everybody to be about where we want them to be.
When you meet with the team tonight, what's going to be the message, the tenor?
The message is very simple. We're playing for a Big East championship and a national championship. Those are the goals and the expectations of our program, and we feel like we've got a good group of players and a talented group of players, and something that we look forward to challenging.
Kyle, with the sense of urgency now because there's a game on the calendar coming up, is your demeanor changed from spring to now?
I think the level of urgency always rises as you get closer to the actual competitions, the games. For us, it's the game against Tulane. Yeah. So I think you'll see that in the coaches. I think you'll see that in the players also. I think you'll see the intensity level of the whole program will rise a little bit now. It'll be a little different field than I think spring practice.
Kyle, did everybody make it as expected, or anybody?
We actually have two players who haven't checked in today. One, we have a paperwork issue with the clearinghouse that we're fighting through, and one of our players has a family issue that is a little sensitive. I'd rather not release it in public, but we're hoping everybody will be with us by tomorrow afternoon.
Okay, and all the, I know you may have covered this, but all the signees, did they get in, or?
Not all the signees are here. DeLon Stevenson is going to prep for a semester, and we're looking forward to seeing him back in January.
Now that we're moving into the preseason aspect of it, how does the quarterback competition become a controversy and a distraction?
I think that really comes down to the quality of the people who are actively in it. And I think when you watch Chase and Gary in practice, you see two guys that are helping each other. And that creates an environment on a team where you don't have controversy. You have competition. And competition at all positions is going to be a positive.
But the quarterback's generally the leader on offense. How will it be like having two leaders or no leader for the first, whatever it is, going to be 12, 14 days?
I think because both guys have played in games and have won big games for us, I think we're going to have two. Okay. Now, I've been on record, and I'll say it again, I think ultimately the best thing for the program is going to have one focal point of that. But I think right now having two it won't be a negative for us as long as we get that thing decided about 10 days out.
Chase is saying he goes back home, he gets that question all the time. Did you go anywhere this entire summer where someone was asking who's going to be the quarterback, trying to pick your brain on it?
No. The only place would be when I go home for dinner. That's only until my son asks me.
So what would your answer? Same as with the media?
Well, what I said to my son is we're hoping 7 to 10 days before we'll be able to.
With Savon, do you sense a difference in him this year at all?
I think to answer your question specifically about Savon, yes. But I think for all the players who are entering their second year, it's always a completely different field. That's got to be the biggest difference, is when you report as a freshman and then you get to report in your second year. You've been through the whole program. You've been through the whole cycle one time, and now you come in with a little bit more ease. The unknowns have been removed.
Well, with him in particular, was there, one thing that, maybe held him back last year at all that you sensed, whether it's reading defenses, pass blocking?
No, I think, if anything held him back, it would be getting injured, at the point in the season where he did. That was unfortunate. The only way to really make the improvements you want to make is to physically do it. And when you have an injury that early in the season, it's hard to make the improvements you want to make.
Offensively, how much installation do you have to go through, or is most of that taken care of in the spring?
Most of it was taken care of in the spring, but now part of training camp and part of the first week of training camp is reinstalling everything, and we're hoping the vast majority, if not all, of the offense and the defense will be installed here in the first week, and hopefully we can practice it on Saturday.
Kyle, the competition at O-line with so many guys there, when do you want to see that kind of settled to where you're set 5?
I don't know if I have a date on that, but I would say sooner than later. And I'm hoping that the 5 guys that are going to ultimately start the first game are going to emerge early in training camp. I think we got a little bit of an idea. We got a little vision of that in spring, and some guys made some improvements. But at that position, at every position, there's nothing more valuable in life than consistency. But as an offensive lineman, you really want to hang your hat on it, because if you're a player who touches the ball if something doesn't go the way you want it to, you have an opportunity to make a big play in the game. As an offensive lineman, you base everything you do on consistency, play after play after play.
Do you want to see the heat and humidity continue?
I do. I think that always tests your mettle as a football team early in training camp, and I think that'll be a positive. I think we're in excellent condition, talking to Jeremy Cole, and I'm looking forward now to see how quickly we can get in football shape.
Pads go on fourth practice?
It's the pad, the shoulder pads go on the third day, and then full pads on the fifth day, which will be Friday for us.
Do you anticipate having the same approach from the spring? A lot of people said that you were more laid back, and do you anticipate that same approach, or do you just take it?
I just try to be myself when I'm on the field, and I think it gets interpreted different ways. But what I do want to continue from the spring is I want to continue to develop a disciplined, physical, tough football team. Those are the things we're looking to do, and but however that shows itself in my personality on the field. I always want to be myself on the field, but I never want to sacrifice on our team the discipline of the team and the toughness of the football team.
Kyle, as guys were filing in here, Marquise Wright, slimmed down version, kind of stood out. Have you seen much of him and noticed?
Unfortunately, we're not allowed to watch in the summer.
No, I don't mean watch. I mean, just see him when he comes by the office.
Sure, I've absolutely seen him in the hallways, and he's done a good job over the first year of transforming his body. And I know that was hard on him early on last summer. But I'm sure now, similar to the answer I had for Savon before, I'm sure now as he enters his second year, he certainly enters it with a little bit more ease or peace of mind and probably a little more confidence because now he's in a lot better shape.
Kyle, whoever wins the quarterback competition, do you feel that more comfortable that you have a good player, that you're going to be a good quarterback next year for Rutgers?
I have no doubt that we will have one. Who that will be, I'm not sure yet, but I've watched enough of both of those guys live in games to know that whoever it is, whether it's Chase, whether it's Gary, we will have somebody that can win every game on our schedule.